Thank you for clicking on the YouTube link and joining me for this eCall related session. My name is Markus Bornheim, Consulting Sales Engineer with Avaya for Public Safety and Emergency Services. I have presented this presentation at the eCall Days in Hamburg on the 19th of September 2017. And what I'd really like to go through for today is, well, how can new technologies impact eCall once it's rolled out? And is that something that we might think is a little bit like new light through old windows? Where are we as of today, September 19th, 2017, in eCall? So over the past years, we've gone through all the different phases preparing for the rollout of eCall. We've gone through Hero 1 and Hero 2 technology verification phases in different European countries. And since late 2015, the iHero eCall deployment project funded by the European Union is happening. And today we are just a few weeks away, a few days literally away from the deadline for the public safety answering point readiness on the 1st of October 2017. And just 6 months after that, car manufacturers need to be ready as well, getting eCall capabilities into the new cars that they are going to sell in the European market after 31st of March 2018. And then yes, there we are. This is the eCall Go Live on 1st of April 2018. So I think this is what we all waited for over the past years as a community, working towards real innovation in 112 emergency calling. But does the project stop here? I don't think it's ever going to stop, so it's going to be a continuum. And let's have a look what we're going to find after the go live of eCall. So the next years probably might be quite interesting. And speaking with the words of a very famous German football trainer, Sepp Herberger, after the game is before the game. So once we've gone through that, once we have got our countries ready for eCall phase 1, what is the new game looking like? What are the focus areas after the eCall go live in April next year? So eCall 2018 and beyond, where do we go from here where we started with having eCall phase 1 realized? Is it planning for next generation eCall? Yeah, it might be quite interesting to really look into what next generation eCall is going to deliver. It has a lot of promise out there, and we see drafts on the IATF websites already. It promises to transport more data in the minimum set of data, so more information to be transmitted from the car to the public safety answering point. Handling video and text, so enhancing the capabilities beyond voice calling. Giving PSAP telematics capabilities, accessing vehicle components, so onboard cameras, or sounding the horn, disable ignition, lock or unlock doors. And I think one thing that we are all looking for, moving the transport of the minimum set of data from the audio channel with an in-band modem to SIP, avoiding the muting of the voice channel during the first seconds of the eCall, and delivering the information of the MSD immediately when the call is ringing at the call taker's desktop. So yes, planning for next generation eCall might be exciting, looking into multimedia, telematics, and probably a little bit more of the Internet of Things. But is this priority number one? I'm not absolutely sure about this. So another topic that we're going to see out there is the introduction of third-party services eCall. Introducing TPS eCall, I think, might be quite interesting to look at. What is third-party services eCall? It literally is a way where a third party, so a car manufacturer's customer service center, might be the recipient of a call, a car breakdown call from a car in distress, from a driver in distress, through different ways of delivering that information. It can be the same technology like we used to see in the modem approach with the EU eCall. It can be SMS, it can be data connection, it can be literally any other way to deliver information into the service center of the car manufacturer in here, our third-party services provider. And once we have that situation, it might be necessary to escalate this call and to get it handled by 112, because it's not only a breakdown call, but it's a situation where an emergency is happening. And therefore, we have a European standard, EN 16102, talking about third-party services eCall integration, which basically is a data connection in parallel to the voice call terminating at the most appropriate public safety answering point so that we can forward or transfer the call to the 112 organization and in parallel get the data that we have collected already from the car into the third-party services interface at the eCall capabilities in the public safety answering point, and thus delivering the third-party services set of data into the application in the public safety answering point through a web API. So I think this is the approach, giving us access end-to-end for a voice connection where required with the driver in the car through the third-party services into the public safety answering point. Beyond this integration element, which I think needs to be sorted out, there's also an international perspective on eCall. If you just want to follow me on a journey, the journey starts with a car from Hamburg, traveling down to the south of Europe, into France in this case. And the journey just starts, a couple of people in there, and there's going to be an incident. So something is happening with the car, and the car is automatically, or by push of a button from the driver, calling the third-party services provider for this third-party services eCall. So it's call plus the transmission of the data from the car. Now, in this case, we have a German driver. He has got an incident in France. The car manufacturer's third-party services provider is based in the Netherlands, and he is involved. And during the conversation, it turns out that really this is an emergency call which needs to be transferred to 112. So how do we make this happen? How do we gain access to cross-border into the 112 organization in France? How can we transmit the MSD data? And how do we overcome potential language barriers between a German driver, maybe an international call center agent, but probably a local French-speaking person in the public safety answering point? I think there needs to be some thought put into this situation, because it may happen quite quickly after the introduction. And I do ask myself, do we really have to interconnect every third-party service provider's contact center with every single PSAP in Europe in order to make that communication and that collaboration happen? So yes, TPS eCall is interesting. It's cross-border 112 access, it's cross-border MSD transfer, and it's international collaboration. But still, I believe maybe this is not the highest priority. I think it's much more tangible than next generation eCall, but I see something coming in, sliding in here, getting eCall phase 1 right. So why getting eCall right? Didn't we just finish the eCall projects over here in Europe? Didn't we just fulfill what we had to do? Well, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, and if you're responsible for operating PSAPs and operating in eCall as well inside 112, you probably only have the answers to those questions. Did you introduce eCall at all in your country? If not, well, we know why we have to get it right. Does your country meet the requirements for eCall conformity? Well, you might nod your head to that, or you might not. Does your eCall implementation meet your own operational requirements and standards? I know I've been aware of conversations with some organizations that said, we are not ready to fully integrate this, so we have just one seat in our public safety answering points, which is a PSAP only seat. From an operational perspective, probably this is not the best possible way forward. Do you consider your eCall implementation as temporary? So in such kind of an environment with a single seat, that might be a temporary approach. And do you consider your overall eCall implementation as future-proof? You can only give the answers to these questions. I am just aware of some of the conversations that I was able to have. So I think getting eCall phase 1 right has to do with conformity, operational readiness, and future-proof in here. And so with these 3 points, I think the first two probably are the most relevant ones. And we are going to see within the next couple of years after the introduction of eCall phase 1 that there will be some refinement happening in some countries in Europe. TPS eCall will be introduced, I'm pretty sure of that. The first tests are going to happen early next year. Next generation eCall will come for sure, but probably it's not going to come fast. Probably we still have to wait some other 5 years in order to get this standardized and introduced. So what are we looking at? We are looking at remarkable eCall projects in Avaya, and I would like to share Avaya's experience in eCall. So what have we done over the past couple of years? We have been introducing eCall in 3 European countries at a national level. So from the car through some voice communication technology and eCall modem technology, this is the normal approach, right to the desk of the call takers to talk into the car and to see the data originated by the car. What we have done with that standard approach, we have lifted all of that up into the cloud. So it's not a public cloud, as you might imagine, because we are still talking public safety, and public safety has not yet fully embraced the concepts of public cloud, but it's a private cloud approach, if you wish. And it has different flavors in order to look at this. So one flavor is a centralized 112 public safety answering point architecture enabled with eCall. Typical approach, 2 data centers with the distributed PSAPs attached to it, 2 data centers for resiliency, and the PSAPs are going to pick up the calls. So the emergency call is coming in, it's an eCall in this case. It is going through the Avaya Aura infrastructure. The minimum set of data is decoded, and we have this one available right now, and the call then is forwarded into one of the control rooms of this distributed architecture, and one call taker is going to pick this up and going to treat the data and going to manage the call. I think this is quite a standardized approach for those of you that also run distributed public safety answering points off of a single private cloud architecture. So it's a single organization that we find in here. Call takers are directly connected with their phones to the centralized communication infrastructure, and the eCalls are directly delivered to the 112 call taker. Minimum set of data is delivered into their computer-aided dispatching application, and they are in full control of how the eCall is treated during the whole call inside the 112 organization. But this is not the only way that we have delivered such kind of implementations. There's another case out there that we find where a first level eCall filtering instance is working in front of the second level eCall case management in 112. And it's looking like this. eCall is coming in Avaya eCall platform. This is a centralized eCall platform independent from any public safety answering point, is extracting the minimum set of data, and then we make a choice who of the community of the authorized PSAP, eCall PSAPs, is picking up that call. Once we make that choice, the call is forwarded just through the public switch network, and the data is accessed through a VPN access to the responsible agent in this commercial contact center. Basically, it's a commercial contact center, a third-party services contact center with the authority to manage 112 eCalls here. And when that is done, and the qualification takes a clear stance on this is a emergency call and we need to forward this to the 112 organization, they typically do this manually and forward the call and give them access to the data by a defined procedure. Basically, this can be FX, this can be oral, this can be manual in any way. In that case, the eCall is not in control with the 112 public safety answering point, but it remains in control with the assistance agency in between. So here you see these are 2 different organizations. Now let's have a close look into third-party eCall and the data integration that we see inside the first-party eCall. If we would consider an Avaya 112 public safety answering point plus eCall platform at the receiving end. So the breakdown call is coming into the third-party service center. The B call MSD is decoded, and the call taker decides, I want to forward that information through a standardized, harmonized EN16102 eCall, TPS eCall interface. He forwards the call into the 112 organization, and through a data connection, probably through a web service, we can push the data from the B call MSD into the public safety answering point, into, well, an interface, a TPS eCall interface at the eCall modem. If you have such kind of an eCall modem which offers a TPS eCall interface according to the standard, that's a good approach. So the TSD, the TPS eCall set of data, is transmitted and the data is made available to the call taker, just as if it would have been a normal, standard, straightforward 112 EU eCall. Now, we have connected a third-party organization, a commercial contact center in that case, to the public safety answering point organization through TPS data integration. That's quite an interesting approach. And I would like to take you on a quick interim summary from our journey here. So what we have done with these two eCall deployments, we have been able to lift the eCall up into a private cloud environment. We were also able, based on customer requirements, to front end the 112 call takers by an eCall contact center with authorized call takers, so to filter these calls. That's for EU eCall. That's another use case that is probably not the same in every European country. If with that kind of approach we look into how can we leverage this platform additionally, it's quite easy to integrate third-party services, commercial contact center calls that arrive in there and are treated on behalf of the car manufacturer and push their data into the 112 call taking environment as well. But not only that, the flexibility of the platform allows to really add additional new services as well. And this can be any kind of services. So we are talking about the Internet of Things here. And the car, for me, is a thing, and the eCall is the first iteration of the Internet of Things in public safety, really. But when we talk about the Internet of Things, we might talk about wearable devices, we might talk about building management systems, we might talk about any other thing that can raise an alarm. And this can go through a third-party services center, or this can go directly into the 112 call taker centers, or any combination of that. So how does that look like? If you reconsider where we stopped our journey with the third-party services data integration, we have come to a point where, according to standard EN 16102, we have access for a data level transmission of some kind set of data, a minimum set of data, of course, in that case, into the public safety answering point. And we have access via voice into the public safety answering point. And now here's the thought that I would like to share with you. TPS data integration is a standardized entry for additional data into the PSAP. So why should we limit this only to eCall related services? Why couldn't we use the optional data fields that we have in the MSD to introduce this data for other services and for other purposes? So what I'm talking about here is we could probably think about where we have different services and different devices that people want to raise an emergency communication to the attention of a public safety answering point's call taker. We could use that interface for the transport of the voice, of course, and we could use the TPS data interface for transport of the additional data. We would probably be able also to connect when the transition from ISDN networks to SIP-based next generation networks is happening, to use that approach for voice transmission as well, but also the internet with the capabilities of HTML5 and WebRTC offers a great way in order to communicate with real-time services to the public safety answering point. And I believe that this TPS data integration could be quite an interesting gateway for additional data into the PSAP. And I think this is somewhat very close to next generation like services. So providing next generation emergency services without waiting for next generation 112 in order to drive innovation, bring the Internet of Things to life in the public safety for the first time, and triggering the digital transformation for a whole industry. And all of that based on an Avaya framework with Avaya Breeze in its center. So does that sound like new light through old windows to you? Thank you very much for your attention, and please feel free to reach out to me whenever you want.